Hello, class. So good to see you. I want to talk with you about module number 2. Module number 2 is located in Blackboard. If you go over to Course Documents, click on Course Documents, you will see module number 2 assignment sheet pop up. And when it downloads, you can click on it. Mine has Edel editing. So what we've got is module number 2, we're talking about the inquiry-based lesson plan. And of course, inquiry means students are free to explore. They're free to use their hands. They're free to ask questions. They are free to move forward at their own paces of learning, connecting new learning that you're presenting with the understandings that they already had in a way that is very tactile and a way that it's very experimental, which in my mind makes all the sense in the world if we're talking about a science class. Section 1, of course, is our engagement, where you take a resource that you found. That could be a web-based resource or any type of resource that you would bring to your students, or even a resource that you would care to share with other teachers. This could be a resource that you found helpful, that you can gather information from or gather your teaching materials from. Any type of resource that you would like to share here and put it right here, and also post it on Blackboard so we can share those resources that you're finding with each other. My resource is right here. You can click on it. You can take a look at the resource that I'm putting forward to you in module number 2. Do follow these guiding questions. Give me 3 or 4 sentences about the explanation about this resource and how you might use it in your classroom. All right, moving on to section number 2, test ideas with experience. We're looking at exploration here. This is the discrepant event, and I've got a discrepant event that I find is very inexpensive. It's just a meter stick, and you don't have to have a blindfold. You could just have your students close your eyes, but it's amazing how they will be able to find the center of mass even with their eyes closed. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing this with my students, telling them that they've got an inner sense of science because they can always find the center of mass even with their eyes closed. It's a lot of fun. Take a look at the one I've got there, and as you look at that, be thinking of your own discrepant event that you would like to put forward. Again, Sixth Science has all kinds of great discrepant events, and Science Bob, there are just dozens of different places where you can find great discrepant events that are inexpensive, easy, elementary-based, safe, and enjoyable for your students. Do put the science standards, the materials, the procedures, what your students think might happen. They may think nothing might happen. It's just going to just lay there, sit there, and the cool part, watch what happens when you have that experiment. Now, of course, these can be demonstrations that you can do, or they can be demonstrations that your students can do, or you may want to have it set up so that each one of, maybe there's small groups, groups of 2, 3, 4, can do these demonstrations as well. Write down what actually happens and why. Again, you can use the internet. Of course, you want to use the internet, and of course, you can even use their explanations, but do cite the web pages where you get this information from. Do cite those web pages. All I need is the web page, and just put those in the references. Very good. Moving on to explanation. As I've already talked about in the introduction, there are all kinds of wonderful reasons to have our students experience science. I think that these are great learning tools. Yes, eyes, yes, ears, but I think hands are a great way to have students retain that information, and these tactile hands that our students have are great ways for them to hold on that information so that when they're taking those end of grade tests, they are recalling those things because their hands are reminding them what they've experienced. There is a reading there that I would like you to do, and I would like you to read, and then if you would go through these guiding questions. Again, these are guiding questions. They are designed to help you speak on the topic that you just read about. Don't feel that you have to answer all of the questions, but I do need you to respond. I think I see here someplace. There it is, 5 to 8 sentences in your response. So check those out. If you want to use all 5 questions, great. If not, that's fine too, but I want to get a feeling of where you're at and what your response would be based on the readings that you've got, that you have made. All right, let's take a look at section number 4. We're talking about elaboration. We're talking about extending or applying what we have just learned. All right, we talked about the 5 E's. We've talked about an inquiry-based lesson, and what I'm trying to get us to do today is to put those 2 ideas together and to make an inquiry-based lesson. Now, of course, this can be a lesson that you have already done, that you're just shaping to the 5E module, but it does need to be a lesson where it is action, where the students are actively participating. Of course, this can be a lab, but think about the concepts that you want to have. Think about the science standards, SC Science Standards, South Carolina State Science Standards, and how you're going to meet those science standards using an inquiry model lesson, and that's what I'm looking for. Your lesson name, any name that you pick is going to be fine. Safety requirements: do they need gloves? Do they need goggles? Do they need closed-toed shoes? What safety requirements would you want to have in this lesson? Of course, your essential question, and of course that is the question that you want your students to be able to answer at the end of your lesson, having all that great information that you've just shared with them. What is the question that you want them to be able to answer at the end of your lesson? That is the essential question. Engagement, exploration, expansion, explanation, then expansion. I got those backwards. And of course, finally, your evaluation. How are you planning to evaluate your students? I know that there is some space here, and if you want to keep writing with that, just extend that window more. Keep talking, keep writing there. That's just fine. This box is not a static box. It is meant to serve you, serve your needs. So if you want to write more, that's fine. But write enough so that I or a substitute teacher could read through this lesson and make a reasonable presentation just based on your explanation, just based on your verbiage here. So you will want to be somewhat descriptive of what you're asking your students to do, asking your substitute teacher to do. This would be a great lesson to have maybe just as, if you're on a sick day or something like that, you just send the substitute teacher this lesson and they can go and they can do this hands-on type of demonstration. Again, this can be a lesson that you've already developed, but I want it to be a lesson that's very inquiry-based and that's going to meet those 5 E standards. Please contact me if you have any questions about this. I want this to be a lesson that you can use in your classroom. So make it specific for your grade level, for your students, for your needs. Okay, finally, Section 5, evaluation. Graphic organizers are a great way of formative assessment, and if you click on the graphic organizer idea, there's dozens and dozens of different ways that you can graphically organize the material that you will be sharing with, you're asking your students to learn. What I would like you to do is I would like you to use one of those graphic organizers. You can draw and then make a PDF of that, attach it in Module 2. You can put that right in here. You can copy it, take a screenshot of it, whatever you want to do, get it in there or make it a separate attachment. But I'm looking for you to make a graphic organizer of the material that you have found significant, meaningful, things that maybe you've learned or things that you see are important, and put that into a graphic organizer here for for section number 5. Okay, that wraps it up unless you want to do the science mystery. And this is science mystery number 2. Again, these are elementary, friendly science mysteries. You can look up the explanations on Google. That's just fine. These are fun things that you may want to have your students do in your classroom, and then challenge other students to find out the explanations for these. So click on that science video and then just write your answers there. If you choose to do the science mystery, that's great. I will keep track of the ones that you are doing, and if you do decide to do all 10 of those, you can skip one of the 2-part final, either the final project or the final report. You can skip either one of those. But this is just alternate. If you want to do it, great. If you don't, that's fine too. You are in great shape. Thank you so much, class. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments or ways that you want to share or modifications that you would like to make. I'm open to all these because I want these modules to be something that is valuable to you, that you can take away from this class, because that to me is what I would want if I were taking this course. So don't hesitate to contact me, and let's look at ways to make this class as formatted for you as possible. Thank you, class. Have a great day.